A brief history of the Dodge Charger. The history of the auto industry goes back more than a century, and in that time, there have been plenty of vehicles that have come and gone, many forgotten and often forgettable. But among the thousands of different models that have been offered throughout the decades, some immediately captivate drivers and change the way we look at what's around us on the road each day. These are the kinds of vehicles you've been able to find at a Dodge dealer throughout the years, and few cars typify this better than the Dodge Charger. Since it was first introduced, the Charger has been grabbing attention and is a favorite among drivers looking for power and precision in a car. Let's take a little look at the history of this iconic car and some of the changes it's been through across its 7 generations since it was first introduced. Introduction and first generation for the Dodge Charger. 1966 to 1967. Although the Dodge Charger was introduced for the 1966 model year, its origins go back a bit further than that. You could connect the dots on this vehicle back to 1964. That's a particularly noteworthy year for fans of pony cars for one particular reason: the release of the Ford Mustang. With the massive success of the Mustang, pony cars with similar designs were in high demand, and everyone wanted in on it. You can see this with models from other car companies of the time, such as the Mercury Cougar. Dodge's designers and engineers were no strangers to power and impressive performance on the road, so they used what they had learned to develop a serious competitor for the Mustang. Using the Chrysler B-body platform and pulling some components from the Dodge Coronet, they designed the Charger as a fastback with a hardtop rather than a convertible. This initial Charger hit the scene and made immediate waves for its sleek, bold design that brought visual intensity to a car segment often noted mostly for performance. Its standard engine was a 5.2 liters V8, though a monster of a 7.0 liters Hemi V8 was available, creating a powerful car no matter how one chose. Looking back, the initial Charger was visually compelling and quite different from its competitors, but it didn't do as well as Dodge wanted. Its fastback design was similar to the AMC Marlin, which wasn't particularly successful, and though it certainly earned some fans in its first 2 years, there was room for improvements. That's why it got a full redesign and iconic new looks for its second generation. The second generation Charger. 1968 to 1970. While the first generation Dodge Charger certainly has its fans, this is where a lot of people fell in love with this beauty. The redesign for its second generation transformed it from a somewhat awkward fastback into a true pony car that got immediate attention. For its first model year, Dodge hoped to sell 35,000 models. More than 96,000 Chargers were made instead. Engines were initially the same for this generation, though a 3.7 liters 6-cylinder option was introduced during its first year of production. What makes this one of the most iconic cars to ever grace the road, at least for some of us, is its use in the Dukes of Hazzard TV series. The car famously used in that show during the 1980s was a second-generation Charger, and its orange color and distinct horn made a lasting impression on viewers for years to come. Third generation for the Dodge Charger. 1971 to 1974. After another short generation, the Charger was again redesigned for the launch of its third generation with the 1971 model year. Some of these changes were to utilize a new platform and make adjustments to meet new standards for emissions and safety in the US, though it also got a gorgeous makeover to bring it into the 1970s. These were good years for the Charger, with stunning looks and plenty of power under the hood, making it the kind of pony car people still look for more than 50 years later. Fourth generation and end of an era. 1975 to 1978. With another redesign, the Dodge Charger was ready for the second half of the 1970s, although its styling took a very different direction. Rather than focus on the pony car segment, the fourth generation Charger had more in common with a luxury sedan. It's a big, beautiful car, there's no doubt about that, but it lacks some of the muscular design and styling that you can see on previous models and that we've come to expect from the Charger these days. Its popularity declined throughout these years, and fewer than 3,000 models were made for the 1978 model year. Following this, it took a few years to get a new direction. A brief return for a fifth generation. 1982 to 1987. Unexpectedly, the Dodge Charger went in a completely different direction when it was brought back for the middle of the 1980s, a subcompact hatch/fastback. Utilizing a design similar to a hatchback, with two doors like a sports car, the Charger took on unique looks that certainly didn't harken back to anything we'd seen before. With a number of sporty i4 engines available and front-wheel drive, handling with the fifth generation was tight and responsive, providing a sharp and enjoyable experience on the road. Initial sales were a bit slow, but more than 50,000 models were sold each year from 1984 to 1986 before the Charger was once again put on the shelf to take a break while Dodge and Chrysler focused on other vehicles. Return of the Dodge Charger and sixth generation. 2006 to 2010. After the Charger was discontinued following the 1986 model year, that was the last we heard of it for nearly 20 years. But thankfully Dodge brought the Charger name to the road once again for a sixth generation starting with the 2006 model year. The Charger that returned was far removed from its fastback and pony car roots. Its sixth generation model was a four-door sedan. Don't let that fool you into thinking Dodge had forgotten what the Charger was all about. However, since it still had powerful V6 engines on offer, as well as a 5.7 liters Hemi V8 on certain models. We also got all-wheel drive on the Charger for the first time with this generation, showcasing an interesting new level of performance. The seventh generation Charger. 2011 to 2023. For its seventh generation, the Charger was once again redesigned with new looks that are closer to what you'd expect from this legendary vehicle. Still a four-door model, this Charger is far removed from the sedan looks of the previous generation, becoming sleeker and focused on a bold, powerful stance. Impressive engines remain the focus here, including V6 and V8 options, even a supercharged Hellcat V8 in certain models. This creates an incredibly powerful vehicle that's fun to drive while still giving you room inside to have friends and family along with you, not something that can be said for every sports car out there. A facelift and update for 2015 enhanced the Charger's looks even further, with a more rounded and evocative style, while a wide body option was added for 2020 to create a powerful beast with four doors and incredible performance. But now, following the 2023 model year, this generation has also come to an end. What does the future hold for the Dodge Charger? So, what does the future have in store for this automotive legend that has been through so many changes throughout the years? It's hard to say, and Dodge is still staying quiet on a lot of the specifics, but one thing is for sure, it will continue to deliver impressive power and an exhilarating driving experience no matter what form it takes. We've heard rumblings about the new 3.0 liters Hurricane twin-turbo i6 engine that the next Charger is expected to have, and so far, it looks like it will be well worth a new generation. Two doors or four, fastback or sedan, the Charger has set the pace for many other vehicles out there, and it continues to lead the charge for what Dodge has in store this year and for decades to come.